What's Forest Focus? It's our annual prediction show as we discuss where Forest will finish, who will be top scorer and more. Plus, we will revisit last season's predictions in the company of, first of all, Michael Temple. Temps, good to have you with us. How are you doing?
Thanks, mate. Annual predictions. We make a few guesses up every week, don't we? Well, that's what we're here for consistently.
Don't reveal that to everyone that we're just doing it all on the fly. But yeah, good to have you with us. Looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. Second guest is Emily Anderson. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Really looking forward to the new season. And I love this episode. So no pressure, guys.
Yes.
Because I like to have left field predictions just to make it interesting. Remember, I said Sheffield United would stay up last year.
I've seen some of the predictions. Obviously, I've seen the predictions from last season. I look forward to putting some of those or reading some of those out. Yes, as I was saying, Mikey and Greg they can't do it, but I've got predictions from them and Mark. Predictions show debutant in Pete Blackburn. How are you? Are you nervous? Feeling the pressure?
Oh, deep anxiety, yeah. But I mean, overall, just a pleasure to be back on the podcast described by the most handsome man in Britain, David Prutton, as a mighty force.
Is that what he described it as? I can't remember.
He said it on the podcast this week, didn't he?
When you were back in the glory of the Gamers, I thought he was really good. So yeah,
he was great.
I've done 3 of these shows now this week and haven't thanked the person who did our new intro music, so I must do it. Gabe McKenna, who has put he's worded his own shout out, which I like. For the shout out, I'm Gabe, an artist in knots. If anyone needs any posters, graphics, or animations, best place to find me is at Angel of Origin on Instagram. There you go. So thanks very much to him for doing such a good job. Apologies in advance. The carpet fitters have just arrived at my house, so if there's any clanging and banging in the background, that's them, and I'll mute myself as much as I can. We shall go through all of our predictions for the season. Like I said, where shall we start? I mean, Pete, you're the debutant. Do you want to put your head on the block first?
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah. You do. Well, I control which graphic comes up. So yeah,
this is like a horrible initiation or something.
No, I'm not going to make you sing a song or anything. So right, talk us through what you. Just read them out quickly for people who are listening, and then I'll ask you to talk us through it. So you've got Forest to finish 13th, Taiwo top scorer, 14 goals, player of the season, Morgan Gibbs-White. You say Nuno will be in charge for the whole season. Top 4, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Aston Villa. Bottom 3, the promoted clubs, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. Just talk us through the Forest-related ones, if you would.
Well, on Forest, I think the theme is probably hope rather than prediction or expectation. I think there's probably some slightly optimistic shouts in there. Certainly, if you look at what the Opta supercomputer, as we have to call it, has said, and what the bookies are saying about Forest's league position. But my feeling is that the rest of the footballing world are slightly sleeping on where Forest are right now. It may be that I'm just naive and hopeful as a fan, and that side of things has taken over. But my instinct is that things are just looking an awful lot better for us. We've had this summer of real quiet and stability by our standards. And I think if you take away all the context by which people are judging our last couple of seasons, that hopefully we won't have to suffer through this year, the looming points deductions, the endless media narratives around all that sort of stuff. I'm hopeful that you lose some of that and you lose the sort of constant talk about potentially losing your manager, which is something that we've had through the Premier League period. I think that we're going to be much quieter, much more efficient, a team of players who are going to look pretty similar to the ones that finished last season, but are going to come on leaps and bounds, hopefully. And I think that stability is going to breed some confidence and some performances. And I can make an argument for us finishing anywhere from 11th to 17th in the league. 13th is perhaps hopeful, but I think we're going to be moving up a few places.
Big season for Taiwo. I suppose I want to ask you about him. You're backing him.
I'm backing him mainly because I really love the guy. I know what he can do for us. And I mean, in the light of recent media reports where it looks like we might be going out and shelling 35 million quid on a striker or something along those lines, this looks even more silly perhaps than it did when I thought about it. And I think Chris Wood's probably the obvious shout for this. Hudson-Odoi maybe even a better shout. But for me, we all know what this guy can do for the football club, what he can do on a pitch. If we can give him that chance to rehabilitate slowly, not be in the sort of situation where we have to desperately rush him back onto the pitch like we did in January because relegation was looming and all that sort of thing. I'm still hopeful that we can get him back to his best and we can see him playing maybe 2/3 of a season. If he can do that, he could make an absolutely monumental impact. And if he can do that, Forest's potential is sky high, because he is just such a difference maker with his movement, his pace and power, the way he can finish. He's got that ability to be in the right place at the right time. All of that is clearly incredibly optimistic and hopeful. But it's the start of the season. We haven't been scarred by things to come yet, so I'm going to have a bit of that for now.
Last one I was going to ask quickly about yours. We won't focus on the top 4, bottom 3 too much, but Villa, I don't think they're going to be as good. You're backing them, are you?
Yeah, well, I think conventional wisdom, which I guess is probably what you're going with, I think you mentioned it on the show of Adam Summerton, is teams in the Champions League start to struggle. Their squads get a bit stretched and they're fighting on a couple of fronts. I think Villa might be slightly different to that. Perhaps most of all because I sort of wonder where the other threat's actually going to come from for that 4th place. I mean, I think lots of people are writing Chelsea off, and I'm sort of in that place because they just seem like an absolute mess of a football club, the way things operate there. I can't get behind that sort of warehousing of footballers and the endless financial workaround. So even if they do well, I don't think anyone will take any joy in that personally. So for me, you got Villa, Spurs, I guess Newcastle United perhaps fighting for those places. I don't see any of those as bankers, and I think that Villa are probably the best managed of the bunch. Emery knows what he's doing. He gets the absolute best out of that team. I think they've added depth, they've added quality. And I think they're a fair shout for that slot.
Excellent. Right. We shall let's put Emily on the spot next. When it comes to the others, I'll get people to critique them like Greg and Mikey and Mark. But I'll just go through what everyone's said themselves. So I was reading this out as well. Hopefully people can't hear the absolute hammering in the background. Emily Anderson, Forest have finished 13th. Chris Wood, top scorer with 15 goals. Player of the season, Aina or Anderson. You've got to say one of them when it comes to it. Nuno to stay, yes. Top 4, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool and West Ham. Bottom 3, Ipswich, Bournemouth, Southampton. No Leicester there. I'll ask you about a few of those things first, but just talk us through your general Forest thinking, if you would.
Yeah, so I'm glad that Pete went for 13th as well. And I've done it in a really easy, linear way. I've been through the Premier League table and worked out who I think we can beat and who we should be better off and who we should finish above. And that made Forest sit very nicely in 13th, which I know, like Pete said, is very optimistic. If we finish 13th, God, we'd be delighted, wouldn't we? But I think for me, anything above 17th and a better season than the last 2 seasons will be fantastic for us for the next season. I've gone for Wood, merely sort of thinking with my head rather than my heart, because I feel like if anyone's going to do it for us, it will be Chris Wood. I know he's getting on a bit with regards to age, but he's proving he can still score goals, and he's not just the lob it into the box and he'll head it in that I think some people thought he was. He can score some great goals for us. So it'd be really good if he could have a great season. Player of the season. Can I argue both and then maybe make a decision?
You can, but you still got to make a decision at the end.
Okay, I'll make a decision. So Anderson, I know pre-season is purely about fitness and cohesion and formations and that sort of thing, but I've been really impressed with him in pre-season. And from Newcastle fans that I've spoken to, they're absolutely gutted that they've lost him. So we know we've got a player in there, and wouldn't it be great in his first season with us if he really took us to the next level? And Aina, because last season when he was playing for us, he was so good. He obviously was out with AFCON and out with injury, so he hasn't had a full season with us. So I feel like him firing on all cylinders could really do the business for us. But I'm going to go with Anderson, I think, because we've got the same name. So yeah, let's go Anderson. Nuno to stay, yes. That means we've had a really good season. And top 4, I know I've gone a bit left field with West Ham, but I think that it's a new dawn for that club. I think West Ham fans have got the expectation that they should be a top half of the table club. They've got Lopetegui, they've made some great signings, and I feel like they might be the dark horse, a bit like Villa have been and Newcastle have been, to slip in. And I couldn't put Leicester in the list purely for marital relations at home, and also because I still love Steve Cooper and I just can't bear the thought of him taking a team down. But I think the likelihood is he'll probably be gone before that happens anyway. So yeah, so I stuck Bournemouth in as an extra shot.
So loud. Well, why Bournemouth?
Because they've lost Solanke, it really, it's really, again, a real sort of linear way of thinking about it. But I feel like I'm not saying they just rely on Solanke, but I think they've been punching above their weight for the last couple of seasons. For the very fact that we can't beat them, I'd like to see them in the bottom 3.
Very good. Right, Michael Temple.
I was just can I just say on Ipswich, I have put Ipswich in there, but I have a funny feeling they might be better than we give them credit for. So although I've put them in the bottom 3, it wouldn't surprise me if they snuck out and then another team snuck in. Just that's a footnote.
Michael Temple, do us a favour and read your own out. I'm so conscious of the noise.
Forest going to finish 14th this season. I think they're going to reach 43 points. They've got every chance to make an 8 to 10 point improvement on last season when we factor in those points that were deducted. And I think that would be meaningful progress. My pick for top goal scorer is Wood, and that's a mark of durability. I think if Taiwo stays fit and plays 38 games, his minutes per goal, his chance conversion is going to be so much better. But I've just got this ongoing concern about his durability. He's had another slightly disrupted pre-season, and while I do expect him to force his way into the side, I just think Wood will play the games which will generate him the goals. I can't see past Murillo for player of the season. He managed to shine in challenging circumstances last season, and I think he'll just be that much more resilient and measured for having had a season in the Premier League. Still so much to come from him. I think Nuno will stay with that finish and that relative improvement in points, but I still expect ruthlessness from the ownership if we don't adhere to those standards, such as the ambition that they've set and the resource they've injected into the club. My top 4 is pretty safe, I think. I've got Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. I just think the Chelsea squad was extremely disorganised last year. I see them making improvement just off the fact that they're going to have a more focused squad and they are going to offload a few at the back end of the window. I don't think Liverpool can make a championship challenge in the absence of Jurgen Klopp, but they'll be there. Emily's wrong about Leicester. They're going straight back down. And if I have to fall out of a husband, I'll take that one for the team, Emily, no problem. I understand you've got to play the game a little bit there. I don't think there was an outstanding side that came up last year. Leicester won the league, but they lost 11 games, didn't draw many. They were pretty gung-ho when it came to chasing 3 points, and credit to their manager for the style in which he went about that. They only drew 4 matches, but 11 defeats. Ipswich, more organised, were more willing to win 1-0 and more defensively sound, but they ground out a lot of draws to achieve promotion last season. Southampton completing a 3 for me. It's just so hard now. That gulf is so great, and that situation that we have where we're talking about, the loftiness of even 14th, 15th is because we've had so many transfer windows and we've been able to trade out an entire squad aside from Ryan Yates from that championship promotion side. So they're my predictions, and I think they're slightly more accurate than everybody else's.
I'm sure we shall see. I'll read out your last season predictions later. Right, I might move. Why are you also confident Nuno is staying? Is anyone worried? Open question.
Because we're predicting optimistically, right? And if that improvement comes, then Nuno stays. But I don't think we can abide being anywhere near the relegation zone at Christmas and him being there. I just think that he's been able to impart his ideas. We've seen a more attacking stance. With that comes slightly more risk. But if we were to improve by 8 to 10 points, keeps his job. I don't know what you think, Pete, Emily.
I think that he disappointed me in some ways last season, because actually we didn't finish off any better than we did with Steve Cooper. But he loves a pre-season, doesn't he? And you can see from this pre-season, it's a Nuno squad, it's a Nuno team, and it's Nuno ideas and it's Nuno tactics. So that really sets me up for a good season for him. And I'm super confident that he'll still be here by the end of the season. I really like the cut of his jib, and I just hope it all goes in his favour, because he's not got maybe the personality or the maybe the affection that Steve Cooper got from fans, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He gets the job done, and the players appear to really like him. There's such a really good team spirit in the squad at the moment. So yeah, I really, really hope he does stay, and I'm confident that he will.
Pete, do you think he has to explode out of the blocks?
I mean, I certainly think he can't afford to be in a position where we're really chasing our tails at the start of the season, both because of the fixtures add pressure, because everyone's going to describe those as games where we need to get points on the board, whether that's accurate or not in a Premier League where all games are tough and we sprung lots of surprises in the past or not, who knows? But I think your analysis is right. I think he's going to be straight up against it, and any manager at Nottingham Forest is going to be if they're not getting points on the board pretty quickly, particularly given he's got the circumstances and the environment that he needs now. I think that the reason why I'm quite confident on him sticking around, admittedly, in the face of lots of evidence that suggests the otherwise would be true, given that we're pretty good at sacking managers at this football club and have been for some time. The reason I'm confident in that is a sort of twofold, really. Firstly, Emily mentioned that perhaps we didn't improve much last year. I think that's certainly true in terms of where we actually finish and points and such like. But I think the data just suggests that that's not necessarily the case. I think we look a much better side than we did. We've had minimal change. He's had the pre-season he desperately needs. He's had his way with the squad so far. Change has been pretty slim, and we've just added quality where we've needed it. For me, all the signs point in the direction of this being a very different situation now. We're not going into a Premier League season immediately under the cosh. We've always done that the last 2 seasons. There's been so much going against us, whether it's just massive change where all the players in the team are unfamiliar to each other, or because we've got endless narratives around the football club in terms of how things are being run off the pitch or finances or whatever. This is a totally different scenario. And if things are in place now for him to do a good job and to have all the tools that he needs, I think 1 or 2 more additions, and I think it'll certainly be a case of no excuses, and the owners will hold him to that. But I'm looking at it from a positive side of view, because I think he's a manager who's proven that he can do it at this level, and I think the signs are that he can do it with us as well.
A couple of people put in the comments yesterday, "Oh, we're worried this show's getting too professional." I've just climbed over a pile of boxes to get into my daughter's room.
Never.
And I'm now completely wedged in, basically. So there's no danger of being more professional. So no worries on that front. We'll go on to some of the predictions shortly. Just a quick word for the NAV. Oasis and straight after the Wolves game, Saturday, 31st of August. Entry is free. Get your food and drink straight after the game, pretty much after the final whistle. So race down there and obviously catch the build-up to the Bournemouth game as well. So continuing the spirit of predictions, I texted Tom at the NAV, and because he's a Forest fan, what are your predictions? He says 13th, Callum Hudson-Odoi top scorer with 13 goals, Milenkovic player of the season, Nuno will stay, top 4, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. I don't get that Chelsea one at all. Temp said Chelsea as well, didn't he? The prediction maestro. I'm not seeing that one myself. And then Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton will be the teams to go down. Right. Let's just do mine quickly and see what I said. I can't even remember, to be honest. So I have Forest finishing 15th, sort of the same logic as Emily. Who can we finish above? Kind of slots in there, but anywhere from 12th would be ambitious, I guess, but 12th to 17th, I think. I'm not worried about relegation. Like Pete, I think Taiwo's in for a big season, and I think we'll spread the goals around. I can see a lot of players finishing on kind of 8 to 12 goals. Well, I say a lot. Taiwo, Wood, Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White. If we sign another striker, I can see them chipping in nicely as well. I do think Nuno will stay, because if we're going to have the kind of season that we all think we are, then I don't think there's any reason to move him on. My top 4, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs. Bottom 3, Wolves, Leicester, Southampton. I think Wolves, that bubble might just burst eventually. Keep selling Kilman and Neto, and I don't think they've particularly replaced them, although this right winger they bought, whose name escapes me, is supposed to be decent. But yeah, I think I was influenced by Luke Chambers saying Ipswich will be really good, so kind of listening to him. Anyone got any comments on what I've done? Tell me I'm wrong.
Just this Taiwo durability thing. I think we do all agree that he's the man if he plays. I just wonder if you've got that confidence he's going to be able to play 30 plus games, Matt, to get that kind of return, because his par in terms of minutes per goal and the way he converts chances and the way he creates chances for himself is higher than that if he is to get to that volume of matches.
Yeah, not confidence, but let's say he misses 10 games and plays 28. I can see him getting 12 goals in that period, because I think he is that good when he's fit. I think we'll start the first few games with Wood, and we're kind of following the transfer. As we record this, we're waiting to see whether, you know, Jimenez or Victor Roque or anyone else signs. I suspect someone will, but yeah, I think I'm still backing Taiwo. I think it's always the thing of the shiny new toy, isn't it? And Taiwo's a bit, you know, a bit banged up and a bit dusty at the moment because he's been injured so much. But I still believe in him and think he's got that quality that makes him, you know, a genuine top quality Premier League striker. So yeah, I'm sticking with Taiwo. Right, let's move on to the others have sent theirs in. Start with Mark, the post-match show master. Mark says, Forest finished 15th. He's put Jimenez as top goal scorer. I think that could be any incoming striker, really, but that's what he thinks. Morgan Gibbs White player of the season. Nuno will stay. Top 4, Arsenal, City, Liverpool and Spurs. Bottom 3, Everton, Leicester and Southampton. I guess I didn't ask him, but I wonder if that's points deductions influenced for Everton. Anyone got any thoughts on that? I guess Jimenez is probably the interesting name there. Yeah,
I mean, there's been some statistical research gone into this, hasn't there? And yeah, guessing a player's going to be a top scorer who hasn't even arrived would be the prediction of the year. It'll be a successful season if Morgan Gibbs White's player of the year. I think that means we're front foot. He's getting involved in games. He's influencing things in the way that we can, and ultimately he's getting the goals and the assists that we've craved. Often we've credited him for the pass before the assist and the accepting the ball in tricky places and his link play, but it hasn't directly converted into being an assist machine at any stage. And then we see what he can do. Fulham game being the best example, right, where he absolutely ran the show. And you think, yeah, this kid could be a 10 at a higher level in the Premier League. So if all of Mark's predictions come true, I think I'd be a happy man. And it's a bit of a romantic story, isn't it, that Ipswich could avoid the drop. They've spent some money. I'm not necessarily sure they're equipped to score goals in the Premier League, but they've shown a little bit of ambition in that sense. And who would predict taking the title away from Man City? I think that's the boldest prediction of all, that he thinks Arsenal can overcome Pep.
Wait till you see Greg's predictions.
Oh God!
let Emily comment on them.
Oh, great!
I know. It's interesting, the bottom 3 predictions. Emily said Bournemouth. Mark says Everton. I said Wolves. Is there a dark horse team for you, Pete, that might get sucked into it?
No, I don't think there is. I think it made me feel a little bit sad when I saw that I just instantly lumped for the 3 promoted teams again following last season, because I don't think I'd really engaged with that narrative that gap is becoming massive, given that I've only just been thinking about Forest battling for survival constantly and not really focusing on the rest of it too much. But to me, it sort of seems quite set in stone that I think I get the narratives around Ipswich. I think that they are the epitome of a team that's more than the sum of its parts. I think they're incredibly well coached, some really, really exciting patterns of play last season when I watched them play. They're the sort of team that I could see upsetting the odds somewhat, but I think the odds are so massive that even just sort of being competitive in the league with the squad of players they've got would be a massive achievement. I think if you look at the teams that the squad list of Luton and Sheffield United last year, I think they've got more standout players than Ipswich have, and it's an absolute testament to the manager that he's got them there. I don't think they were a particularly good Championship team on paper, to be honest, let alone a Premier League team. And while they've added quality, I think it's just so far off what you'd expect. I mean, it'd be a real treat if they do upset the odds, and I do think that they will surprise teams, because I think they are a genuinely good unit, capable of great stuff. But to do it consistently over a whole season is just massively, massively difficult. And you saw with Luton, there was the constant talk of what a great unit they were and the sort of spirit they had, and getting the absolute best out of players who perhaps you wouldn't necessarily think belong at the level. But they just show how difficult it is to do it. And, they were operating with players like Ross Barkley sitting in the middle of the pitch. I just don't think Ipswich have got the squad. I'll be absolutely delighted if they upset it, assuming that Forest stay up as well and it's not us getting screwed over. Because I think it'll be a great statement for the league, and it will show us all that there's still a little bit of that sort of romance in football. But I just can't see any of them surviving, particularly given the financial mess surrounding Leicester and a very odd managerial change, in my opinion, despite being a massive Steve Cooper fan. And another boring conventional wisdom point, but I just can't see Southampton's football succeeding in the Premier League at first time of asking. I think they could just get torn apart.
I'm not going to miss Luton, I must admit. Good to see them get tanked last night. Right, I'll read Mikey's out, then I'll get Emily to pull it apart. This is Mikey's predictions. Forest to finish 15th. He also says Hudson-Odoi, 13-goal top scorer, and then he expects a bidding war for him in the summer because he's only got 2 years left in his deal. Milenkovic, player of the season. He thinks Nuno will go. But I don't understand, because if Hudson-Odoi is scoring 13 goals, then I think we must have had a blinding season. Top 4, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs. Bottom 3, he thinks Brentford bubble will burst. He's backing Ipswich as well. Leicester and Southampton. Emily, what are you saying about Mikey's predictions?
Well, the thing that really stands out for me is that he's already on his negative train, isn't he? Saying that Nuno won't be here at the end. No, but if anyone's going to predict Nuno to go, it's going to be Mikey, isn't it? Love you to bits, Mikey. But seriously, dude, I don't agree with that at all. Wouldn't it be great if Milenkovic gets player of the season? Because that would suggest that we've shored up our defence, and maybe he might bag a couple from set pieces as well. Hudson-Odoi, if he scores 13 goals for us, then surely the bigger clubs are going to be wanting to buy him. Quite a boring top 4. I don't know how any of you have gone for Spurs in the top 4, because it's Spurs. I mean, there's nothing more to say about that.
My son just walked in the room. Sorry, I got completely distracted.
That's okay. And again, really interesting that he's plumbed for Brentford over Ipswich in the bottom 3. Let's not forget about Ipswich, by the way. They've had back-to-back promotions, so they are massively punching above their weight. And I know we'll probably put them in the Luton category, but that actually, Ipswich play really good football. I'm not suggesting by any means that they're going to stay up, but the manager's got them playing really nice, attractive football, whereas Luton were very much low block, frustrate teams. And yes, they did have maybe high-profile players, but I wouldn't say that they're in the same category. Ipswich are more than likely to go down, but like Pete said, wouldn't it be great if they could upset the apple cart and stay up?
Let's say the Bastille last then in Greg Mitchell. This is what Greg is. It's not that mental apart from it. One thing is quite interesting. Forest finished 12th. Chris Wood got top scorer, 16 goals. Everyone's read to the bottom. Player of the season, Morgan Gibbs-White. Nuno to stay, yes. Top 4, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Man United. An interesting lineup, you might say. Bottom 3, Leicester City 18th, Ipswich 19th, Manchester City 20th. I assume that he's got, the ultimate man of faith believes the Premier League are going to stick it to Man City. Any thoughts on that, anyone?
That is absolutely mad. How many points does he think Man City are going to get deducted for them to go down 20th in the league? They have to get.
I thought that it's got to be like an automatic relegation. You've got to deduct 60 points off Man City at least.
All you need to know about Greg Mitchell is he bet on Forest to get promoted when they were 24th in the Championship, and that one came off, and he waves the Ladbrokes receipt around every chance he gets. To place a bet as rogue as that, you have to have thrown 1,000 of those slips away when you've had Palace to beat Man City at -5 or whatever. So I believe Greg probably has put his money where his mouth is on this. But he'll never tell you about the bets that he loses.
Let's take a word for our second sponsors of the episode, Ben Sales, estate agents, or home move estate agents, should I say. Thanks for their support as ever. We know they are the people to buy and sell your house, but I did ask Ben for his predictions as well. So he has said Forest 13th, Taiwo top scorer at 16 goals. Got a point to prove this year. He says Nuno will stay. City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa as the top 4. Leicester, Ipswich. He's put unsure on the third to go down. He can't say Man City, obviously. So he's got his mate to answer, and he said Bournemouth. So he's copying Emily on that one. So thanks very much to Ben for his support as ever. Do you want to hear your predictions for last season?
Go on then, mate.
I want to, given there's absolutely no jeopardy for me. I'm loving this.
Discredit us as best you can. Go on.
I'll try. Right. Here we go. They're on my phone. Forgive me a sec. Let's start with Emily Anderson. Forest finished 14th. Danilo player of the season. Koupas will stay all season. Top 4. Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea. Relegated. Luton, Bournemouth, and Everton. How are you feeling about that a year on?
That's terrible, isn't it? So I got Luton right. I got Man City and Arsenal in there. Yeah, that was a really, really bad set of predictions, wasn't it? I've clearly got some beef with Bournemouth because I put them in the relegation zone last year. It's beef I didn't realise I had, but I think I'm just going to go with it now.
Still angry
Yes.
about the wind when it blew the stadium down that game.
Oh yeah, terrible, and the fact that we just can't beat them. It's just yeah, not good, is it? Not good. And that was my first season with you guys, so not a great start.
Let's just quickly read out. I'll do Mikey and Greg's as well. Mikey said 16th, Gibbs White player of the season. Cooper to go, Cooper to stay. No, so he was right there. City to win the league. Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle, relegated. Luton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. We'll do Greg's as well. Then I'll do 10th. Where did Greg say we'll finish? Anyone?
Was he 10th? Did he say 10th?
He did say 10th. Very good.
Yeah.
10th, player of the season, Morgan Gibbs White. Cooper to stay all season. Top 4, Man City to win the league. Newcastle 2nd. Man United 3rd. Liverpool 4th. He didn't even have Arsenal in the Champions League places. Relegated. Luton, Sheffield United. And who else? Anyone?
Brentford.
Yes, Brentford. Very good.
Yeah.
On fire, Emily, except with your own predictions. Right. Michael Temple. Let's see how close you are. Having touted yourself and blown your own trumpet. You said, actually, I'll ask you, where do you say Forest would finish?
15th.
Correct. Player of the season?
Taiwo?
No, you said Danilo. Cooper to
Oh,
stay in
okay.
charge. Top 4, Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool. Relegated, Wolves, Sheffield United, and Luton. We gave Burnley a lot of respect, didn't we? How are you feeling about that a year on?
Not my finest moment with the Danilo thing. I thought he was the kind of all-round midfielder that we needed, and he's impactful, isn't he? He's never going to be player of the season. I don't think. I do like Dino. I think he's very, very dynamic. Hope my predictions are better this year. Having been a year older, a year wiser, a lot more grayer.
I think in our defence, though, Danilo finished the season before really well, didn't he?
Yeah, he had,
those gun fingers came out, and I think we were all lured by the romanticism that he effectively helped keep us up. I think that's
we got excited, Emily, didn't we?
We did. We thought with our hearts and not with our heads, and look where we are now.
Exactly. Emily's back on Thursday for the preview show for Bournemouth. So I won't throw this question to her, but Pete, opening game, how are you feeling about it? And just bracketing those first 3 together, I suppose, because we've got the easiest start in the league on paper. How are you feeling now on the eve of it?
Very positive. I'm broken record again, but I just really like the sense that we're starting the season with a side that isn't just dissimilar to one that finished last season. And that might sound a bit mad because we didn't have the best season, but I think the talent is there. I think there's a real good foundation there. And with a couple of really clever additions, predominantly the addition of a rock hard, solid centre back, and then the depth and the versatility that Anderson brings us, I just think that puts us in a really good place. So knowing that we're starting that Bournemouth game with the sort of lineup that looks pretty familiar, but looks like it's had time together, has been pretty strong in pre-season in good moments, leaves me really optimistic. I think I'd have us down for a couple of wins in the first 3. I think.
What about you, Temps? We're on the eve. I think when this comes out, I think it's 3 days to go. How are you feeling?
Bournemouth getting used to life without Solanke and having to have a parachuted in plan B before they replace him properly in the transfer window. Southampton away, just trying to figure it out, and Wolves potentially without their best player of last season. That is a pretty dreamy start, isn't it? And we do feel more settled. And having kept Morgan Gibbs White and Murillo, the players that have come in are strengthening rather than replacing departed players. So every reason to feel optimistic. I'm not going to say we're going to get 9 from 3, but there's no reason why we can't have 6 points from those first 3 games. I think that has to be a baseline target.
Excellent. Like I say, Emily's back on Thursday, so we'll get a lot more then with Lewis. So do us a favor if you haven't already, hit like on this video. It does make a big difference. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever you listen, and give us a lovely review on iTunes. Emily, any other business, any final words before we depart?
No, really looking forward to Bournemouth on Saturday. Let's hope that we can finally avenge those monsters and beat them on our own turf. That would be fantastic. So hopefully that will be the start of a very good season for the Reds.
Avenge those monsters when it comes to Bournemouth. I like that. The town of
They
old
are,
age pensioners.
Yes.
Well, that'll be clipped up and used against you.
Pete Blackburn, anything from you?
No, nothing much. I guess my one sort of big hope ahead of the new season is that we've got a slightly different narrative around us now. And particularly when it comes to the fans, I hope that things are a little bit different to how they were at the start of last season. I think we all had this sense that things were sort of falling apart a little bit as the beginning of the season played out. There was that real feeling for me, and I think for some other people, that things had changed inside the stadium and we perhaps just lost a little bit of that magic that made that place such a hard place to come to, made us such an intimidating prospect for opposition teams. So my hope is that we get right back into it and that we as fans are just ready to drag the side through the season, because I do feel very optimistic that there's something quite good that can happen this season. And for me, just to temper some of the expectations that might come around us saying 13th or whatever in the season, it's not about the league position for me. If the performances are a bit better, then we make progress there. If we pick up some more points where we failed because we've had really iffy mistakes and that sort of thing, and if we're just avoiding being right in the thick of the dogfight, then that's all progression. I just want us to be in a place that's slightly more comfortable, where we're not surrounded by chaos and melee and all the horrors of being in a relegation battle and in the thick of PSR and all that sort of stuff. I'm really confident if we can be in that sort of place where we're just not inside that sort of swirling mess. We've got footballers who can really step up and express themselves. I can't wait to see players like Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi and Elanga not being in a position where they're just desperate to get points and results every game, and just being able to go out and express themselves and coming together as a team. So let's hope that we can back the side and find a bit of that magic again. I think we sort of recaptured that as the season went on. So my first game is going to be Wolves, because I can't go to the Bournemouth game, and for me, Wolves are our big rivals, because I absolutely despise the way they treated Morgan Gibbs-White. So I'm going to be bang up for it and absolutely roaring the lads on from the new safe standing zone. So let's hope that we can have a great season.
My first game is also Wolves, also safe standing. So hopefully see you there. Just before I throw it to really quickly, one word answer question. Will Morgan get an England call up or England cap this season? Pete, yes or no?
Yeah.
Emily?
No.
Temps?
Too many similar players doing the same job slightly more consistently. So no.
What about Hudson-Odoi?
No.
Interesting.
Further away, sadly, despite his production.
I think Morgan's got his moment now, because Lee Carsley's in position. It's going to be a period of a bit of change. You're probably likely to see players dropping out every now and again. With the Nations League and such like, there's going to be slightly less desperation to play, and people will be looking after themselves as the season kicking off. I think there's an opportunity in this period of time for Gibbs-White to go and do a job for someone who knows him and respects what he can do. And if Gibbs-White can be the player that we know he can force his way in regardless of the players around him. But he is going to have to do more than he has thus far.
I wonder if Callum might, because Anthony Gordon went to the Euros. Eze kind of played wide left. The players who haven't established themselves. So I think there's an opening there if he absolutely smashes it this season. And I agree with what you say about Morgan. Great player, but so much competition. So we'll have to wait and see. Temps, any final words or anything you want to plug shamelessly?
It's just always that fear, isn't there? If you struggle while the transfer window is open, there could be a bit of over trading, and you can have that upheaval that we have seen at previous times. So really hoping we can start strongly for the points. Every game counts, but also so we can back plan A, which is to keep the spine together, and just tinker around the edges rather than making the wholesale changes, which can lead to a completely different set of predictions and thinking come September. So that's my hope, my want, my target for August. The results inform a period of calm, considered planning, and what we've been training, drilling in the pre-season friendlies, we take into the games and we see those players embrace the chance and perform. Quick plug, the100.com for tickets, Rockets v Invincibles at Trent Bridge tomorrow. Promise I won't talk about cricket again.
No, fine, good stuff. Right, thanks for everyone's patience for me moving around my house. A bit chaotic for me. I look like I'm sitting on a mountain slope here, don't I? But no, I promise I'm not. Only thing
Looks like the headboard at a travel lodge, Matt. To be honest, where are you?
It's my daughter's bedroom. She's only 10, but she'll be raging at me for even entering this room without asking permission. So yeah, I'll get both barrels when I go downstairs, I'm sure. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, just to say we're back tomorrow with Emily and Lewis, and then I'm speaking to another Matt Davies for Friday's show for the Bournemouth preview, a Bournemouth podcaster called Matt Davies, and then Saturday post match. I don't know who it's with actually. I really should organise that. Yeah, so lots going on this week. Thanks for everyone's company. Emily Anderson, thank you very much.
Thank you. I love that. Cheers.
Pete Blackburn, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Absolute pleasure.
Michael Temple, thank you very much.
See you soon, everybody.
Yes, have a good day, and we shall see you soon.